Greetings, everyone. I'm Eric Mackey, and I'm one of your trainers for DESE's PBIS Academy. This video is focused on classroom systems. The content for this video was developed by the Center on PBIS and Northeast PBIS. In this video, we'll discuss the application of PBIS within the classrooms. Your responsibilities will be to identify ways to enhance the use of PBIS within classrooms and share aggregated classroom practice data via the Canvas system. The majority of your time spent in the Academy so far has been focused on establishing PBIS at the school-wide universal level. Since students spend the majority of their time in classrooms, it's important to support the application of PBIS in classroom settings as part of your school-wide implementation. When positive behavioral supports live strongly within each and every classroom, students remain in classrooms and maintain access to the curriculum. Without deliberate attention to PBIS in the classroom, you will likely see disproportionate referrals for Tier 2 and Tier 3 services. Remember, our goal is for at least 80% of students to respond to Tier 1 supports. Classroom PBIS is a part of Tier 1 supports. In order to provide PBIS within the classroom, it's helpful to have a clear sense of what that looks like. The Supporting and Responding to Behavior document, which can be found on pbis.org, provides useful tools for organizing your class-wide supports. This document includes descriptions of evidence-based classroom behavior management practices with elementary and secondary examples, as well as decision-making charts to aid teachers in making decisions around their implementation of class-wide practices. There are three basic questions that your team should be considering when it comes to positive behavior support within classrooms at your school. The first question is focused on whether foundations of effective classroom PBIS are in place, such as having predictable routines and clear expectations that are taught. The second question is whether classroom preventative and responsive practices are being used consistently. This would include supervision of students, acknowledgement systems, and error corrections. And finally, the third question you'll want to discuss is whether there's data to indicate whether students are engaging in problem behaviors and what those behaviors look like with regards to frequency, so how often they happen, duration, how long they go, and function, the why behind those behaviors. In order to answer those questions, you may need to take a step back and figure out how you might answer those questions using data, such as through walkthroughs, surveys, and student behavioral data. The Supporting and Responding to Behavior Guide provides a tool for gathering such data. Teachers indicate whether they have 9 specific evidence-based classroom practices in place or not. If they're unsure of the practice, what it might look like, the self-assessment actually provides hyperlinks to pages within the document describing what that particular practice looks like at the primary and secondary levels. You can provide this assessment to individual teachers to have them self-assess their own practices. This can be handy for coaching, consultation, and supervision. The self-assessment can also be provided to groups of teachers to identify school-wide needs and potential targets for professional development and coaching. Changing the practice of adults can be hard and can take time, so we want to be realistic in what we're asking teachers to do. We're asking them to create new habits and behavioral patterns. So let's set them up for success. Add cues to remind teachers to engage in the new behavior, like providing notes, reminder alarms, or signs. Also, engage teachers in explicit practice to build their fluency, such as how to respond to those situationally inappropriate behaviors. And also, be sure to celebrate teachers' successes through positive feedback. They need feedback, and especially positive feedback too. For more information on how to build new habits of effective practice, be sure to check out the available brief and webinar focused on habits of effective practice on pbis.org. Here are some additional ways you can support your peers in using classroom PBIS, including identifying coaches with dedicated time to support teachers in learning and practicing new skills. Also, setting aside time at meetings to talk about and problem solve around the use of classroom PBIS. And sharing data with regards to implementation of PBIS and the impact it's having on students and staff within meetings. Also, taking time to celebrate when classroom practices are improving. And finally, obtaining funding from the district to support the use of classroom PBIS. Spend some time discussing classroom PBIS at your school. Review what practices are currently in place at your school. It may be helpful to think about what trainings your teachers have already received in recent years with regards to supporting student behavior, and what practices seem to have taken hold and which practices have not. Then think about how teachers may respond to this content. What will teachers need to feel confident in implementing these recommended practices? And how can your team use data to A, assess the fidelity of implementation, B, identify who needs support, and C, provide positive and constructive feedback? We would like your team to gather data regarding the implementation of PBIS at your school. You might consider using data from the CMOT, the classroom section of the self-assessment survey on PBIS apps, or the self-assessment from the Supporting and Responding to Behavior document on pbis.org. Please send us that data without any teacher names, please, through the Canvas system. If you need some support in thinking through how to gather such data, please reach out to your facilitators. Thank you for taking the time to review this video focused on classroom systems. Please feel free to reach out to your trainers if you have any questions or would like support in completing your team tasks. Thank you and take care.